Have you noticed how one rumor just refuses to go away this offseason? While most of the NFL world awaits the start of training camp, one name continues to dominate conversations in the San Francisco Bay Area: Maxx Crosby. And now, with reports suggesting that both the 49ers and the Eagles have serious interest in the Raiders' superstar, the situation may be more critical than anyone imagined. If San Francisco wants to stay on top of the NFC, this could be the game-changing move for the franchise. The question is, will the 49ers make their offer before another title contender overtakes them? But first, click the like button and subscribe, and tell me in the comments what else we can expect this season. Let's go! A new development in the Maxx Crosby conversation could dramatically change the outlook of the San Francisco 49ers. And what makes this story so intriguing is that the 49ers may not be the only NFC powerhouse aggressively pursuing the Raiders' star. According to information discussed in the transcript, there are reportedly two teams with what was described as nuclear hot interest in Crosby: the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. That detail alone should immediately grab the attention of every 49ers fan, because this is not simply about adding another talented player. This is about a potential race between two conference contenders who are both trying to position themselves at the top of the NFC hierarchy. The report cited in the transcript comes from Raiders insider Hondo Carpenter, who stated that the Eagles and the 49ers are the two teams showing the strongest interest in Crosby. If that information is accurate, San Francisco is facing a situation where waiting too long could allow another championship contender to secure one of the NFL's premier defensive players. And when you look at the current state of the 49ers, it becomes easy to understand why Crosby's name continues to generate so much discussion. One of the biggest concerns surrounding San Francisco entering the upcoming season is the pass rush. The transcript highlights a critical statistic. The 49ers finished last season with only 20 sacks as a team, ranking 32nd in the NFL. That number is impossible to ignore. For a franchise that has built many of its best teams around dominant defensive line play, finishing at the bottom of the league in sacks represents a major problem. The concerns become even more significant when considering the current health situation along the defensive front. Nick Bosa is expected to be ready for Week 1, but the transcript notes that another key edge defender is recovering from an ACL injury and may not be available at the start of the season. That uncertainty only increases the importance of finding additional pass-rushing help. The argument presented is straightforward. When a team cannot consistently pressure opposing quarterbacks, it places enormous stress on the rest of the defense. Defensive backs are forced to cover longer. Linebackers must hold up in coverage for extended periods. Opportunities for turnovers decrease. The entire defensive structure becomes more vulnerable. This is where Crosby enters the conversation. Over the last several years, Crosby has established himself as one of the NFL's most productive defensive players. The transcript compares his production to Nick Bosa's, showing impressive numbers in sacks, tackles for loss, quarterback pressures, and overall disruption. The possibility of pairing Crosby with Bosa would immediately create one of the most feared pass-rushing duos in football. Imagine offensive coordinators trying to build protection plans against both players on the same defense. Double-team Bosa, and Crosby gets favorable matchups. Focus extra attention on Crosby, and Bosa becomes even more dangerous. Attempt to spread protection evenly, and both players could take over games. That is the type of impact move that changes not only individual games, but potentially an entire season. Another major point raised in the transcript is the financial position of the 49ers. According to the discussion, San Francisco currently possesses more than $70 million in salary cap space, ranking first in the league. That financial flexibility gives the organization an opportunity that many other contenders simply do not have. The transcript also emphasizes a difficult reality that many fans have debated in recent years. Draft misses can eventually force organizations to look elsewhere for elite talent. Rather than relying solely on future selections, the argument suggests that San Francisco could consider moving draft capital for a proven superstar who can contribute immediately in a championship window. What makes the situation even more fascinating is the competitive landscape surrounding the 49ers. The Rams are discussed as a team that has continued making aggressive moves to strengthen its roster. The Eagles are portrayed as another franchise willing to take bold swings in pursuit of championships. Meanwhile, the Seahawks are mentioned as a team that has already reached the top of the mountain. The underlying message is clear. Standing still in the NFC may not be enough. That creates a fascinating question for San Francisco. If elite players become available, can the 49ers afford to watch rivals improve while remaining on the sidelines? Or is this exactly the moment to make the kind of aggressive move that reshapes the balance of power in the conference? The possibility of Maxx Crosby wearing a 49ers uniform remains speculation for now, but the level of reported interest, combined with San Francisco's need for pass rush help, makes this one of the most compelling storylines of the offseason. 49ers. Faithful, based on everything discussed so far, would you trade future draft picks to bring Maxx Crosby to San Francisco and pair him with Nick Bosa? Or would you rather keep those assets and build through the draft? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The challenge for San Francisco is not simply whether Maxx Crosby is worth pursuing. Most people around the league would agree that he is. The real challenge is whether the 49ers can realistically outbid another organization that appears just as motivated and may have stronger trade assets available. That is where the conversation becomes much more complicated. According to the transcript, one of the biggest concerns for San Francisco is that Philadelphia may be in a better position to construct an attractive package. The Eagles have consistently drafted well over the last several years, creating a roster filled with young, cost-controlled talent. That type of depth gives a front office flexibility when pursuing blockbuster trades. For the 49ers, the situation is different. The transcript repeatedly points to draft struggles as one of the reasons San Francisco may find itself at a disadvantage in negotiations. When a team consistently finds impact players through the draft, it can afford to move some assets because replacements are already developing behind the scenes. When draft classes fail to produce enough contributors, every missed opportunity becomes more costly years later. And that reality is important because a trade for Crosby would almost certainly require significant compensation. The transcript discusses several hypothetical trade concepts, including packages involving future first-round selections and additional draft capital. Another possibility mentioned involves including a young player as part of a larger deal. The key takeaway is that acquiring Crosby would not come cheaply, even if his market value has shifted compared to earlier discussions. Still, the argument for making the move remains extremely compelling. Think about where the 49ers are right now. This is not a rebuilding team. This is not an organization looking 3 or 4 years into the future. The roster has been built to compete immediately. The off-season additions mentioned in the transcript reflect that reality. Veteran players have been added with the goal of helping the team win now, not years from now. The front office has clearly signaled that the objective is to maximize the current championship window. When viewed through that lens, the logic behind pursuing Crosby becomes even stronger. If your roster is built to win immediately, if your quarterback situation is settled, if your offensive stars remain in place, if Nick Bosa is still one of the best defensive players in football, then why not take one more aggressive swing? That question becomes even more interesting when you examine Crosby's production over the last several seasons. The comparison presented in the transcript reveals just how dominant both Crosby and Bosa have been. Crosby recorded 61 games played during the period discussed, while Bosa appeared in 50. Despite the difference in games played, both players generated elite levels of disruption. Crosby accumulated 44 sacks, while Bosa produced 40. Bosa generated slightly more quarterback hits and pressures on a per-game basis, while Crosby's impact against the run showed up in his remarkable tackles for loss numbers. What stands out most is that these numbers were achieved separately. Now imagine offensive coordinators preparing for both players on the same defensive line. Every passing down would become a nightmare. Every third and long situation would create anxiety for opposing quarterbacks. Every offensive game plan would have to account for pressure coming from multiple directions. And perhaps most importantly, the addition of Crosby would not only improve the starting lineup, it would improve the entire defensive front. The transcript notes that depth remains a concern at defensive end. Adding a player of Crosby's caliber would push everyone else into more favorable roles, creating a stronger rotation throughout the game. Fresh pass rushers in the fourth quarter often determine playoff games, and San Francisco knows that better than most organizations. Another fascinating element of this story is the message it would send. Throughout the discussion, a theme continues to emerge. The Eagles have been aggressive. The Rams have been aggressive. Other contenders are finding ways to improve. The warning delivered in the transcript is simple. Don't fall behind. For years, the 49ers have been one of the NFC's standard bearers. They've reached conference championship games. They've appeared in Super Bowls. They've consistently fielded talented rosters. But the NFL does not reward past accomplishments. Every offseason creates a new race. Every contender searches for the next advantage. Every front office must decide whether to play conservatively or aggressively. The possibility of Maxx Crosby becoming available presents exactly that kind of crossroads. If San Francisco stays patient and the Eagles land Crosby, the balance of power in the NFC could shift even further toward Philadelphia. If the 49ers make the move themselves, they could transform what was one of their biggest weaknesses into one of the most feared strengths in the league. That is why this story continues generating so much attention. It's not just about a player. It's not just about a trade. It's about a franchise deciding how aggressively it wants to pursue another championship. The transcript ultimately argues that the pieces are already there. Substantial salary cap flexibility, a clear need for pass rush help, and a proven superstar who could immediately elevate the defense. Whether the organization chooses to act remains the biggest unanswered question. And that's what makes the coming weeks so fascinating for the faithful. Every rumor, every report, every insider update will be closely monitored, because this could become one of the defining stories of the offseason. If a deal materializes, it has the potential to alter the trajectory of the 49ers season before a single regular season snap is played. Now, I want to hear from the faithful. Should John Lynch go all in and make a blockbuster move for Maxx Crosby? What would you be willing to give up in a trade package? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe for more exclusive San Francisco 49ers coverage as we continue tracking every major development surrounding the team.